Alright people, baby is sleeping, so I need to be a little bit quiet, so sorry about that. This is going to be the second video of our Should You Main in 2024 series. First video was for archers, this one is for cavalry, and the next one is going to be for infantry. So should you main cavalry in Rise of Kingdoms in 2024 is the ultimate question of the day. However, before we get into that, we need to discuss a few things when it comes to cavalry, starting with pros and cons.
Spartans! What is your profession?
When you look at the best cavalry commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, most of them are single target commanders rather than big AoE skills, and area of effect damage is probably the best thing that you can have in field fighting. But if we look at Nevsky, Ho Chu Bing, Chandragupta, even Ata Takeda, Minamoto, Cao Cao, Saladin, like other than John, XY and William, rest of the cav commanders are heavy single target damage dealers. And this is probably the only real con of cavalry, but there is one more, which is going to be funny. However, it's a civilization. I know Germany is pretty much, in my opinion, the best off-season civilization for any free-to-play low spender or even a mid spender, because it gives you troop training speed, action point recovery, and if you are a cavalry main, that's even better because it gives you cav attack, and the special unit is Teutonic Knight, which is cavalry. However, when it comes to PvP, I wish cavalry had a civilization like Ottoman, because if you're an archer main, like this one is just insane. 5% archer health, march speed 5%, and also again 5% commander skill damage increase. Like as I said, maybe the only secondary con of cavalry would be not having a civilization like Ottoman, but nevertheless, in my opinion, Germany is still good. Like it's not the end of the world if you are still using Germany while you are fighting. But when it comes to pros of cavalry, the list just goes on and on, because let's start with the first one. Your commanders, especially in Season of Conquest. Meta commanders, Ho Chu Bing, Nevsky, William, Joan of Arc, all these four commanders are Wheel of Fortune commanders. None of them are coming from MGE, which is insane, because even getting that first initial 10 sculptures to summon the MGE commanders are actually quite challenging for free-to-plays and low spenders. So having really good commanders that are coming from Wheel of Fortune is a massive benefit for non-high spenders. And our best four commanders in Rise of Kingdoms at this moment, when it comes to cavalry, of course, Nevsky, Ho Chu Bing, William and Joan of Arc, all four are wheel commanders, which is in my opinion insane, and it is a massive pro. And did you know that Saladin also became a Wheel of Fortune commander in Rise of Kingdoms? Yep, Genghis Khan is, for a while now, Genghis Khan is the cavalry MG commander in Season 2, and Saladin is the Wheel of Fortune commander. Another thing about cavalry overall is that they are the fastest troop type. Many people think about this as an aggressive benefit, because you are able to catch people a lot easier with a cav march that are running away from you. However, this also helps you a lot when you're in a bad situation. For example, on our latest KVK, there has been times that I was out of position with my Ho Chu Bing William, Nevsky John, Guan CPO and Burica YSG. And when I select all my marches and just recall them back so that they can run faster, my 2 cav marches were always taking the least amount of damage. Like they were still at white, while my infantry and archer marches are almost sad-faced, because they are a lot slower compared to my cav marches, and that's why that mobility is a very big benefit when it comes to attacking, chasing the enemy, and retreating, running away from your enemies. So I think that is also a major benefit of cavalry. Another one would be cavalry's equipment, because let's be honest, this equipment is probably the best. We will discuss equipment later on in the video in detail, but if you take a look at the helm, it gives you defense, chest, health, gloves, health, boots, health, legs, health, and the only thing that's giving you attack is either the set weapon or Sacred Dominion, which is a KVK weapon. But if you choose to stay with the epic, it gives you another defense. Like all these stats are very defensive, and to me, in my opinion, you should always prioritize health first and defense, and the last one should be attack on your gear. And last but not least, if you are a spender, even as a low spender, you can get your Minamoto to 5 something like I did, or if you're a mid to high spender, you can just expertise Minamoto right off the bat, and he's going to give you a lot of value pre-Season of Conquest. But with the museum buffs, he's giving you 60% of stats, which is insane. In my opinion, you can still use Minamoto at least as a placeholder until you have better commander's expertise, even in Season of Conquest with his double relic. I mean, I remember that someone was testing Xiang Yu paired with Justinian versus, like, who is one of the latest commanders in the game, versus Xiang Yu and Minamoto, and Xiang Yu Minamoto was winning by a large margin. So I think Mina is definitely, with the relic buffs, are not dead and still can be used in Season of Conquest. So as you can see, as I said at the start of the video, there are just a lot of pros about Cavalry. Now, the next question is, when you decide to main Cavalry, how many marches you need to use? Ideally, you want to use 2 cav marches, and those are going to be either Nevsky John and Ho Chu-Bing William, or you can just change it and use Nevsky William and Ho Chu-Bing paired with Joan of Arc. You cannot go wrong with both. Each configuration is going to yield perfect results. So then your question could be, can you call yourself a main if you're running just 2 marches from the same troop type? I would say yes, because technically, unless you are a mid spender, most of the time in KVK, even in Season of Conquest, where you can go up to 7 marches, you won't be able to unless you are just chaining barbarians all day, all night just to get that extra crystals. Maybe you can go up to 6 marches, but realistically, let's say 5. So when you're using 5 marches, and if you already have 2 cav marches, the other 2 is probably going to be an archer march. Let's say for now the best one is Zhuge Liang and Herman, and the other one is going to be an infantry march, Scipio and Liu Che. And the chances are you won't be using your 5th march on the field, because most likely you will be either grabbing a room with that or reinforcing a rally or garrison. So in the end, most of the time what you're going to use is 4 marches, and you are playing with 2 cav marches, 1 infantry and 1 archers. This means you are a cavalry main because you are running more marches from that troop type. So at this moment of time, in my opinion, if you have these 2 cav marches, then 1 infantry and 1 archer, you are a cavalry main, and you should adjust your city skin and your civilization according to that. Also, this is, I think, important to mention, the hardest stage of the game for a cavalry player. If you are a mid spender who can max Minamoto, or even if you're a low spender who can get him to like 5 something something, it's really not that bad. Like, early game is going to be really good for you, especially if you can expertise this Minamoto. Until Season of Conquest, like, he's going to serve you really well. And again, mid to high spenders can also get the daily deals and get a bunch of Kako sculptures and get into a really decent spot. Can we expertise him? No. Get him to a really decent spot, which can make your early game experience even better. However, if you are a free-to-play, or if you are a very low spender who doesn't want to invest on Minamoto, because let's be honest, there are better things to buy for $5, $10, whatever, and then in my opinion, the very early game is going to be quite challenging for you, because you will be left with commanders like Baybars, Belisarius, Pelagius. Like, I'm not saying these commanders are really bad in KVK 1, but compared to a Minamoto Double C, if you are spending some amount of money, of course it's a night and day difference, and I think this is the hardest part, the toughest part in your Rise of Kingdoms journey. Now we are going to rate non-legendary cavalry equipment on a scale 1 to 10 regarding budget/effectiveness. I'm going to skip white gear, even though it gives you like freaking 5% defense. Let's start with greens. Vanguard Halberd combined with Vanguard Greaves is just giving you a lot of stats. It's crazy. It's probably the best green equipments in the game when combined together, so it's perfect. For a non-legendary item, I said Sufferance, giving you 6% of stats, all for cavalry, and compared to legendaries, especially later in the game, getting a special talent on your epic gear is going to be quite easy for you, and with that special talent, it's just going to give you insane amount of stats, the same stats, maybe even more than a legendary with non-special talents or iconic. So yes, Ice Sufferance is also a great non-legendary piece. The helm, I don't really like Abyssal Visage, but we have Expedition Warhelm, which is again giving you really good amount of defensive stats. And of course, we both know how good the Dark Lord's Blessing is, and also a Gladiator, which is giving you cavalry health. So on a scale 1 to 10, in my opinion, for non-legendary cavalry equipment, I will rate it 9 out of 10. The only thing that I don't like for cavalry is Cloud Racers. Cavalry attack 5.5%. Yeah, you definitely want to get this Boots of the Hellish Wasteland as soon as possible. So this is the only reason why I'm giving it 9 out of 10 instead of like straight a perfect 10 out of 10. One last question before we ask ourselves the ultimate question. We are going to rate the endgame full legendary cavalry gear compared to archers and infantry, and I already have that perfect gear in my opinion. We have the KVK helm, KVK weapon, combined with two pieces from the set, which are I think the best two ones, Heavy Armor of the Hellish Wasteland and Boots of the Hellish Wasteland, and finish off your set with an Ash of the Dawn, insane amount of health, 16% because it's special talented, and Navarre's Control. And when I look at this set, easily the best one when it comes to gear overall in Rise of Kingdoms for Cavalry. I think for both budget gear and endgame gear, they just have the best. So yes, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 when it comes to endgame gear compared to other troop types. So the ultimate question, should you main Cavalry in 2024? I would say 100% yes. They deal a ton of damage. They have insane Wheel of Fortune commanders. It's important because if you're a free-to-play low spender, MG commanders, like you won't be able to summon MG commanders right off the bat. In every stage of the game, Cavalry gear is just insane. They're obviously the fastest troop type in the game, which means that you can catch enemies who are running away from you to get more kills, and you can run away from them a lot easier to yield less kills, so it's just perfect. As I said, the only downsides are you don't have a civilization like Ottoman when it comes to Cavalry, and the absolute best commanders mostly have single target damage rather than AoE, but still, even though that's the con, we still have commanders like William, XY, and of course Joan of Arc, which is one of the best commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. The next video, just like we did for archers, first we released the video, should you main archers in 2024? Then I gave you guys a full step-by-step guide for each stage of the game, how should you upgrade your archer gear. So we are going to do the same for Cavalry. The next video is going to be step-by-step from your account creation, the very early days, to the Season of Conquest. What should be your upgrade order when it comes to your Cavalry gear? I see you guys on that video. I think it should be published on this Sunday. Make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Goodbye.